Hello, everybody. Thank you for returning to our YouTube channel. I am Brian with Technology United for Ukraine, and we are now partnered with the Ukrainian military through a research and development unit called the Birds of Fury. Link for them is in the description. We will be recruiting and researching and developing together unique and innovative technologies for the Ukrainian military. If you'd like to join us, if you're an engineer, scientist, technology, whatever you are, links in the description, and so is their website. All right, so let's get right into this. The losses for the Russians, these are those who expired on the battlefield, is now at 790,800, with 1,250 being added. Wounded is now at 2,372,400. Armored combat vehicles, the losses are now at 20,043, with 13 being added. Tanks, 9,672, with 4 being added. And then artillery, this was a bit low for today. We've seen a trend much higher, but they are now at 21,532, with 4 being added. So looks even the losses of life on the battlefield was a bit low today. So probably maybe the New Year's people were taking it off because, it's the 1st of January. All right, so let's get into the news. All right, so let me go right up to the top. All right, so Ukraine halts transit of Russian gas to Europe after a pre-war deal expires. So they had this deal that by the end of 2024, the Ukrainians could renew their lease. The Russians, I should say, could renew their lease with Ukraine to provide gas through pipelines, or a network of them that went through Ukraine. Interesting thing is this war has really changed that dynamics. Before the war, Russia was supplying nearly 40% of the EU's pipeline natural gas. So it was pretty high. That has dramatically dropped because of the war, and now will be almost down, probably below 10% at this point. So, there is a transition. Europe has been transitioning away from it. The Russian supplied natural gas, and other countries have stepped up to help supply more. The United States is one, and Azerbaijan is also another. So this could be another revenue for their country, Azerbaijan. The country will probably be hit the worst and is likely, really the poorest is Moldova. They owe Russia $709 million for gas in the past, which they haven't yet paid, but they're a very poor nation. So they are definitely struggling. Another country that's stepped up for the Russians was Turkey. And through the Turk Stream pipeline, they can now, in Serbia too, who's partnered in this with Turkey, can now use their pipeline across the Baltic Sea to Hungary and other non-EU countries. So we'll see how this goes. It's a pretty dramatic shift from the economy that Russia had, which was gas and liquid gas, air, and oil. It's really going to shift a lot of the economic dynamics on them. So let's look at what happened just a day ago. The Ukrainian drones had hit an oil depot in Smolensk. I think that's how you say that. We can look at a little bit of that video. You hear a large fire burning. Some big explosions. Apparently, there was quite a bit of secondary explosions because of, I do believe they had lubricants factory there or something, causing a fuel spill and ignited a lubricant depot too. So yeah, it was quite catastrophic. But this is what's wearing the Russians down. Their ability to refine oil, so they can't sell it. They can't utilize it within their own country. This is another dramatic issue that the Russians are dealing with, that the Ukrainians have really exacerbated on the Russians. Now, let's take a look on the map where this is so we can see how far they reached into Russia. This is an interesting new trend with the Ukrainians, with all the new types of technologies they have. They can now reach further into the Russian territory. So let me just go into this map here. If we go like this, whoa, I zoomed that out too much. So we're going to go up here. So wherever Minsk is, we come over to Belarus. Here's Minsk. This is the town right here. This is the city. I'll try to blow it up right here. This is the place that had this oil depot. And we know the Ukrainians are just making this a very common thing where they're just, taking out these oil refineries and depots one after another. Again, it's that kind of concept of death through 1,000 small cuts. It's just this overwhelming bits of the Russian economy being eroded. And we know the rubles now at the point it's roughly around 113 rubles to a dollar. It's just in a terrible, weak place to the dollar. Well, we can go to the deep state map. Let's take a little bit of a look at Pokrovsk here, this city, which I give pretty much a daily update on. The Russians' advancement. This is one of their biggest goals. Again, taking tremendous losses, trying to get to this city. If we go back in time, we'll see this back up next couple days. So we do see they're still moving forward little by little. Again, at tremendous loss. It's just been absolutely mind-boggling what they've been willing to sacrifice. And we can see some advances here if we go along. This seems to be a really Chasiv Yar, as many know. This seems to be a big focus for the Russians. They are now on the outskirts of the city, and this is pretty dramatic. I'm going back in time here. We don't really see. I'm going to go forward 1, 2, 3. We're not really seeing huge movements. I know people in this area in the Ukrainian military, and they say they're really doing a pretty good job of halting the Russians' advances. They're just not getting the same type of results as they are out in Pokrovsk. And then let's go over to, there we are, to our Kursk area, where obviously there's a lot going on there now. As we know, and as I've talked about a lot, let me blow this up. The North Koreans are right in this area here. We have Chechens in here and Russian troops in here now, and they're really hitting this area hard. Problem is, now I've only seen videos of North Koreans running across open fields, getting decimated. There was a Russian soldier that was taken captive that said that supposedly the North Koreans are getting the best equipment, the best this. I kind of find that hard to believe, only because they're just not trained well enough to handle the more advanced systems that the Russians have. At least that's my opinion. I could be, completely wrong. Another thing, because of the losses in this area being occurred by the North Koreans that were supposed to kind of lead this offensive, they've had to pull more troops out of the war inside of Ukraine, down the Donbass area. Donetsk, Donbass, that whole area there where we've seen over where Pokrovsk is, and some other areas along the front lines. And you see these guys are coming up from down south to support this area. So it's taking very good troops away from the Ukraine conflict and now diverting them here, which we've seen has been a bit of a trend. All right, everybody, that is everything I have today. So please remember our new partnership with the Birds of Fury. I'd like you to like, share, subscribe, and join us. Link is in the description.